Okay, so you're a man with a grievance.
I am.
You have a grievance, and you're here to aggrieve to the masses.
This top has really brought my piss to a boil.
So you're upset, and now I get to play good cop, which I enjoy. So if you were here for the last time we played good cop, bad cop, I was on the bad cop side of the AI art argument. I was on the
AI
side.
lover right here.
Right, and me and Skynet are doing just fine, thanks for
Oh,
asking.
damn, you guys are cahoots.
Yeah, we're intertwined now. We're at the singularity.
Damn.
But today, you're the good cop. Oh no, you're the bad cop.
I'm the bad cop.
You're the
today,
bad
yes.
cop, right? And you've got an issue, a grievance.
I do. So do you want to say the topic that we're discussing today, or do you just want me to go?
It's like Festivus. It's an airing of grievances.
Hey, Festivus.
You go ahead. No,
That's right.
I'll rebut a lot of this because I do have some points I think that will rebut it. Maybe make the audience at least consider my side of things. And I know
All
a
right.
lot. Well, I know a lot. Wait. I do know a lot of the audience is going to be on my side because they're consumers of comic books. So they're going to enjoy what I have to say, but they're probably also going to, even if they don't want to admit it deep down, know that a lot of what you're saying does ring fairly true. I like your newscaster mug.
I needed that before we started this. I was like, I need a mug. I needed a mug. I needed to do something with my hands.
My Ultimate Warrior one doesn't add the gravitas that yours does.
No, mine's more of I got a point to get across. I'm doing a newscast report type of thing. Anyways,
Hammer 'em.
hammer 'em.
I've got a pen. I'm going to take fake notes, gesticulate with the pen.
I want to bring up the topic of variants. And are they good or are they bad?
Well, it's bad. Look at the COVID outbreak. Variant is really bad.
Oh, damn, that's right. Okay.
Right. We don't want to.
We're not talking about that variant.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
We might get censored because he said the
Fuck
big-
them. Fuck them. How
Fuck
about censor
Fuck you.
me because of that? Fuck 'em.
Right. Censor brown eyes.
Censor this, dick.
But before we get started, I kind of just want to weave a tale here of the industry that's the comic books are dying, and then you got this big ominous group that gathers around the table, and how can
A cabal?
A cabal, yes.
A
There you go.
comic cabal?
Comic cabal.
Son of a
How
bitch.
can we sell more books? Not stories.
I was going to say, write better stories.
Right, no, that was my first thing. Was write better fucking stories.
You can
But-
write better stories.
You can. But let's make variant covers. So you just buy the cover 15,000 times.
This is the variant you were talking
This is
about.
the variant I was talking about. So I think that's how the whole variant...
So you're saying COVID's got a long way to go to catch up to the variants that came out for Eternals
At
1.
least 25 years.
Holy son of a
They got
bitch.
captured. Oh, yeah. Actually, that brings up to a point. I was doing some research of Volume 4 of Spider-Man, and I saw issue number 1 in that had 59. Yeah, that's correct. Go count them right now. Comic Book Girl. 59 different variants, and 61 if you want to include a second print and a third print. Why the fuck do you need 59 variants for one cover?
Small amount of disclosure here. I can't count to 59. Carry on.
Really can't get 59. But...
Oh, he's looking at his notes. He's looking at notes, ladies and
Well, I
gentlemen.
just glanced down, yes.
That's how furious he is. He can't keep on track.
Getting so flustered
There's,
right now.
there's notes that need to be addressed.
So-
This man's made notes. He's so angry about this.
So, since you're on the side of variants, can you tell me why we need 59 variants for one book?
I do like all the different pictures. I mean, you get a lot of different artists doing stuff.
Okay.
You get a lot of different, like, art. You get a lot of that artist's rendition of things. A lot of times the variant covers don't really have anything to do with the book specifically.
Yeah.
Right? But, I mean, I do enjoy the variety. I like a lot of times that there's a bit of a chase angle in things. Like when you go and look before that week's books come out and you're going to go new comic book shopping and you see that there's all these cool covers just for one book. And, like, let's face facts. I mean, I'm a bit of a comic book purchaser who buys based on covers and doesn't buy based on reading because most of the reading that's done in mainstream books, Marvel, DC to an extent, but Marvel especially. I love the Marvel characters, but they just ham this politics and like in a single vision ideology into their books. So like,
Yeah.
I don't fucking want to read your shit. Your shit's garbage to read. But the art is still fantastic. And a lot of times it's not the art from the artist that's doing that run, but it's the artist that you commission to get Mark Bagley to come and do one or to get Scotty Young to come do a cover. It's that stuff that I really like. So when Gabriel Dell'Otto does something, I enjoy that, but more times than not, Gabriel Dell'Otto or Clayton Crane or whoever it is, Adi Granov, they didn't do the art on the inside. They just did the cover.
Right,
And so
okay.
you get the variety of, as a window shopper, somebody who just wants to look at it bagged and boarded in my collection and enjoy that piece of art. Maybe you're right. Maybe what we could do is we could just stop writing the shitty stories that aren't interesting, that are the same rolled over, and you could just sell me that one picture.
I was gonna say, when do you just stop buying comic books and just start buying like lithographs or
Today,
posters?
I would do it today.
Right, because there's gonna be one point where they're just like, we're gonna send you the comic book cover and not a story. It's just gonna be boom, there you go, that's it. Brings me to another topic, is how this industry has turned into drug peddlers.
So this
pushers.
isn't about COVID.
No,
I
this
had
is
all
not.
these rants about COVID so that I could be on COVID's side.
Not about COVID.
I'm not going to be defending COVID's variants in this video, apparently.
No, not
I was
this
going-
one. That'd be the one that's on our website.
Oh, I was going to say, you know, culling of the herds, not the worst thing in the world.
But
Fuck.
back
I
to the topic
I gotta
at hand.
regroup. I gotta
Yeah,
regroup.
just get your thoughts back together.
I might be a bad cop with you on this one.
And like I was saying, this industry has turned into drug peddlers, not to us per se as consumers.
Do you have their phone numbers?
No, I
Oh,
don't. I'm
okay.
pretty sure I can make a few texts.
Nice,
anyway,
okay.
if I really wanted
Just trying to get a hit in, right? Just a fix, quick fix.
right. But it's to the actual, your LCS, those guys. Like when it comes to ratios, like, you know, the 1 in 25, 1 in 100, 1 in 500, and the elusive, once in a while you get the 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 5,000. Now you guys
Has
understand
there
how
been a
that
1
works.
in 5,000? There's been a 1 in 1,000.
There
There's
has
been 1 in
been.
500.
There has been only a couple 1 in 5,000.
Jesus, why?
Right. That's exactly what I want to ask you guys, or the industry, is why? Why? Because you're putting so much pressure on your local LCS to buy 5,000 copies of one book to get one comic book.
Right.
Why? Why do you need that?
I mean, I understand up front, again, that the retailer then has something that he can charge a much higher price point for, but it...
So you mean I can charge it a higher price point, and then in 2 months or a month later, that thing just plummets down?
It does.
Go look at eBay right now to ratio 1 in 100, 1 in 25. You'll see at the beginning when they first came out how they were so high, and then you get it for
But
the cost of grading.
isn't that a good majority of books? Like, books come out $7, $6, and then a lot of the times the books scale back, and because there's not anything great that happens in them, the story doesn't go anywhere. It's a B tier character. That a lot of these books end up being $3 books, $2 books. I mean, that does happen. Like, the FOMO is a real thing. Like, we know that, and we warn people against getting caught up in FOMO. 'Cause
Absolutely.
we don't want to partake in it. No. We know that it's a lost cause, and it's basically throwing good money after bad.
Yeah.
But you're right. But it does kind of help the LCS in the sense that you do then have a couple of books you can charge these higher price points for. Does that help them in the long run? I'm not sure, because they do end up having to kind of burn their own customer. It's not like
Absolutely.
Marvel burns you. Marvel like allows this middleman to burn you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm not entirely sure I can defend that, because you're right, the prices do fall on them more times than not. Because ultimately the way things work is prices just don't fall on things when there's a first appearance or an origin story of someone in the comics who the media or the people buying things feel like there's going to be more of. Like, that character is going to persist into the future, get his own books, his own storylines, potentially be in a movie, potentially be in a video game. In those cases, those books, they hold their ground as far as price goes. When it comes to this kind of stuff, and it's a pretty picture, I mean, I like pretty pictures. Like I was saying, I do like all the variants. I like the selection. I'm not reading your shitty stories.
Right.
I mean, so I do like it. And other companies aren't, not just Marvel and DC are notorious for this, right? The cover A, cover B, cover C. You see it with Xenoscope. You've seen it with Valiant. A lot of them. And I like Xenoscope. You get all sorts of different hot girls on the covers. Instead of just one, get a nice variety of good-looking women.
Right. I am a fan of variety. Variety is good, but at some point...
It's a cash grab to an extent.
100. It's a gimmick. That's all it is. It's
And it
because they
catches
can't
people
sell
in
books.
FOMO, right.
Right. You can't sell books, so we just do a pretty cover. And you know what? They're thinking over there, I'm not 100% positive, but idiots are buying my books. That's what it is. That's what it seems to me, because if, as a consumer, because I like to buy comic books, as you see, we are a comic book store first and foremost. And
BigBeaverComics.com, by the way.
right.
Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Check it out there, yeah.
Right.
But the thing is, it's like, man, I see the same book. There's no first appearance. Nothing happens in it. And it's like, man, you really think I'm an idiot? I'm just going to buy this book Right. That's what they think of you, though. They're laughing there with all their money, not paying artists or whatever happens to be.
Well, doesn't this get more artists getting paid? Because you're being commissioned to do these variant covers. I mean, granted, it's not the artists we talk about with Aftershock losing money or...
Very true.
It's really high-end artists that they bring in to do this kind of stuff. Well, let me ask you this. What do you think about variant covers from companies that are like a comic book store? Like guys that bring in an artist to do an exclusive cover for a comic store that's limited. So it's a commissioned cover after the fact of a Marvel or a DC. So it's a Marvel book, but it's from one specific comic store. You can only buy it from them, and they bring in an artist and commission those exclusives. What do you think about those? Because, again, you're getting an artist paid, an artist that never got a chance to work on that book directly from the publisher. Yeah. It's still considered a legitimate release because you still have to get the go-ahead from the company to do that. It helps that LCS, or it helps that comic distributor, whoever that company happens to be, whether online or not, and it helps that artist because an artist gets a commission job, but it's more of those. You get the Virgin variant, you get the regular variant. They're usually like $30-some a piece, and granted, they do not hold their value over time again. Mm-hmm. They fall off a good 50%. Yeah. But do we not think that that might be a good thing? Guys are getting paid.
Okay, so the whole thing about having like a comic book store get commission somebody to do an artist thing for the cover. I like that. Don't get me wrong. I think that's be good if you're doing specifically something for your comic book store, something that has to do with your comic book store, like you're marketing it, because you're only doing a limited thing, so you might as well put some marketing on it, like your logo on the cover or whatever happens.
They do that, right? Usually on the back.
Right. I can see something like that, because you are paying.
You get the limited print runs a lot of the time. Things are limited to this.
See, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but when you got 59 variants for a one book, I think there's something definitely wrong with the industry when you're doing that much. That's like closer to 100 different covers.
Do you think they just recognize in turn? Like, I don't want to start going on your side of the spectrum here. I'm just trying to be the good cop. But do you think maybe they realize that their storytelling is just really whack, and that this is all they've really got? Like that they've told all the stories, and there just isn't anything captivating anymore.
Well, I think they've already kind of told all the stories how they do the whole multiverse thing.
That's another. Yeah, I think that's a whole other topic.
I think that is, but
you're right. The resetting timelines and time travel and everything being interwoven, so nothing's really canon, but everything's really canon.
Well, you know what? One thing about good storytelling is you can rehash and recycle a good story over, like an underdog's story or the hero's journey. You can rehash it a million times and it never gets old.
And you can put 80 variant covers on it.
You can, but don't do that. That is horrible, because it's just a cheap gimmick, and you know what? It's going to lead to the crash of the market, which would happen in the 90s with stupid gimmicks like that. I think
there was a lot of gimmick. Well, there's been a lot more variant covers recently.
No, there has been.
Like in the last 5 or 10 years, variant covers have become quite predominant. Almost every book has at least a couple variants.
Absolutely, definitely. If you go just
what would you do to fix it? Like if we realize the storytelling's not going anywhere, you don't like variant covers, so you want things to be a little more streamlined, and I do totally understand that. You'd be okay with a variant cover or two, I imagine.
If it deserves it, for a variant cover, for like, if it's a first appearance of something.
Gatekeeper Anthony over here is going to be telling you what deserves it or doesn't.
I've got the key, bitch.
He's going to be the arbiter of this. So, what would you have them do as the solution?
I would do an internal audit of your whole business and start with storytelling and get rid of all the fat that doesn't need to be there.
So how do you get? Okay, I do agree with you that the storytelling should be the epitome of what you're trying to go after.
Has to be.
First and foremost, right? You shouldn't be catering to a bunch of people.
It's no story, it's just masturbation, right?
Right. Okay, but how do you get a customer like me back on board where I'm completely devoid of reading your stories and I am just kind of purchasing the covers? Because we do know, as a business that does this, there are a lot of people that just purchase off the cover. They purchase because they've got a little OCD and they're trying to collect a whole run. And they collect every character of that, or every cover of that certain character, or they just collect cool covers.
Sell a sleeve to a comic book. Sell just an outside.
So the lithograph.
Just sell a lithograph, or just like the outside of the book, the cover and back of the book. Just sell that by itself if you really want variants.
I don't want to be giving away free knowledge to these companies that aren't going to do any kickbacks, but I would buy those.
Right? If that's a good idea, instead of maybe doing fucking 59 different variants for one book.
If I could walk into a comic store and they had a whole bunch of Gabriel Dell'Otto posters or Clayton Crane posters, or I would probably buy a lot of those, to be honest with
See,
you.
that I don't mind because it's different. You're not doing. It's like buying faceplates for like your PlayStation 5. You know, you take that faceplate off, you put a different color on. That doesn't bother me. There's an accessory or an assortment of covers. That's fine. But when you're just selling one book with all these different variants,
I kind of do understand what you're saying about that. It's like if you can reorganize the way your PlayStation looks with like a new skin,
or your PC, right?
Right, but if you were to sell a game and it was a physical copy, which that's probably something that people are foreign to at this point now, anyways. But if you were to sell a game physical copy, you only sell like one version, and then you might sell the collector's deluxe
limited
version,
edition,
and then maybe a year later, if it's like a high seller, you might sell the best seller of the year.
Right.
But you don't sell 50 different versions of the game where one's a pink, one's a blue, one's a bubblegum, one's a scratch and sniff.
Pokemon Game Boy had like the different colors. They had like red, blue, and yellow, but they're all different games.
They're different games.
They weren't
though.
the same game that were rehashed.
Right, this is all, the internal parts are all the same on these variant cover books. It's
Absolutely.
just a totally, because even the back cover 9 times out of 10 is the same. It's just the front cover that's different. I think you might have kind of swayed me a little bit. I kind of played good cop shitty there. I wasn't very, I think I've gone to the dark side. I think I would buy these lithographs, and you know what? Fucking fuck these variant covers. I'm on your side.
There you go.
Corruption in the force, ladies and gentlemen. You've seen it here firsthand.